Somewhere beyond the edges of your ordinary days, a door is unlocking. Cancer, can you feel it? A door you never knew existed is swinging wide open. And on the other side stands someone powerful, wealthy, influential, yet drawn to you not by money but by destiny. This is not chance. This is timing. This is heaven's precise alignment reaching into your life. For too long, you've carried dreams that felt bigger than your circumstances. You've prayed prayers that seemed to vanish into silence. You've held hopes unseen, unrecognized, unspoken. But hear me now, the universe has not forgotten you. The tide is turning, the ground beneath your feet is humming with a promise it has never carried before. This wealthy stranger, this unexpected messenger, is more than a person. They are a sign. A sign that your waiting has not been wasted. A sign that heaven and earth have conspired to reposition you. Cancer, this is the moment where destiny itself interrupts your story. Look around you. Do you not feel it? The air is shifting. Your life is no longer standing still, it is being moved. And you are not being moved backward, but forward, into a season of alignment, influence, and divine appointment. Before we dive deeper into this revelation, let me welcome you to Buddhist teachings. If you believe in timing, in destiny, and in blessings prepared long before you could see them, make sure to like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to our channel. Your support gives us the strength to bring you even more messages of wisdom and light. Now, Cancer, type these words in the comments below as your declaration: I am ready for divine relocation. Because what is about to unfold will not just open a door, it will rewrite the story of your life. Stay with me until the very end, because the revelation waiting for you is far greater than you imagine. 1. The sacred timing of destiny's door. There are seasons in life when silence becomes the teacher. You may recall the long years where the air felt heavy, when your prayers seemed to dissolve into the night sky with no answer in return. Those weren't wasted years. They were the hidden classroom of heaven, the sacred preparation that shaped you into the person capable of carrying what is now arriving. Every disappointment, every closed door, every season of waiting was not punishment. It was alignment. It was heaven quietly weaving the threads of a story larger than what you could imagine. Waiting is one of the hardest disciplines of the human heart, especially when the soul longs for movement. But what you endured was not stagnation, it was cultivation. Just as soil must lie fallow before the harvest, you were being refined, cleared, and deepened. Sometimes we think silence means absence, but in truth, silence is often heaven's most intimate form of presence. And now, after all those barren years, the horizon is shifting. A door you didn't even know existed is about to unlock, and on the other side waits a figure who carries more than wealth. They carry destiny. This is where the story turns. Someone steps into your life, not by chance, not by accident, but by design. They are not merely a wealthy stranger, they are the precise key that fits the lock you've been standing before all along. Money may be the surface of their identity, but beneath it lies something far greater: access, connection, resources, opportunities that would never have crossed your path otherwise. Think of them not as a benefactor, but as a divine appointment, a messenger cloaked in human form, placed here to usher you into the next season of your life. What makes this moment extraordinary is not the material gifts they bring, but the timing. Heaven does not rush, but neither does it delay. You are meeting this person now because you are ready now. Had they arrived earlier, you might not have recognized their significance. Had they come later, you might have already surrendered hope. The meeting will not be adorned with spectacle. It may unfold in a simple conversation, a passing introduction, or a seemingly ordinary encounter. And yet behind it, the weight of divine orchestration will be unmistakable. I believe we underestimate how intricately our journeys are woven with others. This stranger may appear as a single thread, but when woven into your life, they become part of a tapestry that has been centuries in the making. Destiny rarely announces itself with fanfare. It whispers, it aligns, it nudges. And when the door finally swings open, you realize the years of waiting were not about delay, they were about readiness. You were being prepared to steward not just opportunity, but legacy. This is your moment of convergence. You stand at the threshold of a season where scarcity will no longer define you. The stranger you are about to meet does not come to rescue you, but to partner with you. They arrive not because you are incomplete, but because heaven has deemed that the fullness of your purpose requires connection. Their resources will meet your vision, their influence will amplify your voice, their presence will confirm what heaven has been whispering all along: you were never forgotten. So breathe deeply, for the waiting is ending. The stranger is coming. And when they arrive, you will know, not because of their wealth, but because of the way your spirit recognizes them. Like a key slipping into a lock, their presence will fit the silence you've carried. And as the door opens, you will step into the season you've been prepared for all along. A season not of survival, but of destiny fulfilled. 2. The sacred meaning of relocation, when destiny moves you. Cancer, there comes a time in every life when the familiar walls that once sheltered you begin to feel too small. The home that once gave you safety now feels like a container that cannot hold your becoming. You sense it in your bones before you can name it with your mind. You have outgrown where you are. This is the whisper of relocation. Not just a physical move, but a sacred migration of the soul. Relocation is not about packing boxes or changing zip codes. It is about destiny stepping into the room and declaring, you no longer fit where you used to be. Like a seed planted in a small clay pot, you have stretched your roots until they press against every boundary. And now, heaven itself intervenes to say, the soil that held you was good, but it is not enough anymore. You require a greater field, a wider sky, a deeper river to drink from. Perhaps you feel it already. The restlessness. The sense that prayers spoken long ago are finally rippling back as answers. The stranger who appears, not merely wealthy in money, but wealthy in spirit, arrives as the doorkeeper of your next chapter. They are not here by accident. They are here because destiny needs a vessel, and sometimes destiny wears human skin. Their presence is a signpost that says, it is time to move. I often think of history's wanderers, Abraham leaving his homeland, Columbus setting sail into an ocean without maps, the pioneers who crossed mountains to claim new horizons. None of them moved because it was convenient. They moved because destiny demanded it. They carried within them a vision larger than the soil beneath their feet. Cancer, you are standing in that same lineage. What feels like disruption is actually initiation. You are not being uprooted, you are being transplanted. And in the language of the soul, transplantation means expansion. But let us pause here, because relocation is never just about geography. It is about identity. You are not the same person who once prayed desperate prayers into the night. You are stronger, wiser, more seasoned. And so the place you are called to must match the person you have become. That is why doors are unlocking now. That is why the universe is summoning you forward. Yes, there is fear. There is always fear when the ground shifts beneath us. But fear is simply the body's way of acknowledging that something holy is at work. Fear says, this is bigger than me. And heaven replies, exactly. Because relocation is not your idea, it is heaven's intervention. You are not moving alone. You are being carried by timing itself. Let me tell you something personal, as both a scholar and a pilgrim of this path. Every great transformation in my own life came after a relocation. Not all of them involved moving houses. Some were inward, some were relational, some were the sudden shift of calling that pulled me into new waters. And every time, I resisted at first. Every time, I wanted the comfort of the familiar. But every time, I discovered that destiny had prepared something greater than what I would have ever chosen. Cancer, hear this, you are not being exiled, you are being expanded. The stranger who appears in your story is not a rescuer, but a reminder that heaven always provides allies for the journey. They open the gate, but it is your courage that walks through. And once you step across, the air itself will feel different. Your dreams will not just survive, they will flourish. So lift your head. Feel the pulse of destiny humming in your chest. Relocation is not an ending. It is a sacred beginning. It is the universe declaring that your story is too large for where you have been. Step forward, because the new soil is waiting for your roots. Step forward, because heaven has already prepared the ground. And when you do, you will realize, you were never losing a home, you were gaining a kingdom. 3. The orchestration of destiny, when the universe rearranges your path. Cancer, let me speak to the part of you that has felt restless, the part of you that knows deep down, where you are no longer matches who you are. This unease is not failure, nor is it confusion. It is the signal that destiny has begun its orchestration. Somewhere beyond your ordinary days, a door is unlocking. And the figure who steps through it, wealthy, influential, powerful, arrives not by chance, but because the heavens have declared that your time of expansion has come. This is not coincidence. It is not random luck. The appearance of this person carries spiritual weight. For when a mission grows larger than one human strength, heaven sends resources, allies, and backing from unexpected places. You may have wondered why certain people drifted away, why old companions could not walk with you into this season. It is simple. They were not meant for the scale of destiny you are about to carry. Destiny requires alignment, and alignment often means release. I have seen this pattern unfold across history. When Moses was called to lead a nation, he could not stay in Pharaoh's palace. When Joan of Arc rose, she was given visions and allies she could never have summoned on her own. When destiny calls, it rearranges not only your steps but the cast of characters around you. Cancer, you are standing in such a moment now. Before destiny fully reveals itself, signs always appear. They are subtle, but undeniable once you recognize them. You begin to feel restless in places that once felt like home. The life you built with care begins to feel too small for your soul. Conversations you never planned seem to nudge you toward unfamiliar territories. Someone mentions a city, a project, a possibility, and it lingers in your spirit long after the words fade. Opportunities, still small, begin to present themselves like whispers from the universe, saying, "Pay attention. A shift is near." And yes, I know what you might be thinking. At your age, after decades of building, sacrificing, enduring, why now? Why this disruption, this sudden shift? But wisdom knows that destiny does not run on human calendars. Some seeds take longer to break the soil. Some callings arrive only after you have endured enough to carry them with honor. The timing may surprise you, but it is never late. It arrives precisely when your spirit has grown large enough to inhabit it. Relocation, in this sense, is more than geography. It is a sacred repositioning. You are like a tree whose roots have outgrown the soil around it. To remain would be to wither, to move is to flourish. The stranger who appears in your story, the one with wealth, influence, or opportunity, is not here to define you, but to open the gate. They are the hand destiny uses to usher you into an environment where your soul can breathe freely, where your dreams are not confined but expanded. Do not mistake the unease you feel as a sign that something is wrong. It is proof that something greater is arriving. The heart knows before the mind understands. The trembling you feel is not weakness, it is the vibration of new doors swinging open. Let me speak as your guide for a moment. Do not resist this orchestration. Destiny rarely asks permission, but it does invite cooperation. If you listen closely, you will hear the rhythm of timing in your own life. You will notice how every detour, every heartbreak, every unanswered prayer has prepared you for this. What felt delayed was actually alignment. What felt denied was simply protection. Cancer, this is the sacred truth. You are being moved not because you failed where you are, but because you have succeeded. You have outgrown the old soil. The unease in your heart, the whispers in conversation, the opportunities that feel like coincidences, these are not accidents. They are the overture of destiny itself. So lift your eyes. The universe is not dismantling you, it is rearranging you. The stranger at the door is not the blessing itself, but the proof that blessing has already been decreed. Step forward, because what awaits you is not just a new place, it is a new dimension of your purpose. And when you cross into it, you will realize, none of it was random. Every step, every delay, every loss was part of the orchestration. This is not chance. This is timing. This is destiny moving you where you belong. 4. The threshold of courage, entering the season you were born for. There is always a moment before destiny unfolds when the heart begins to tremble. Just as a storm grows restless before breaking into rain, the soul too stirs in unease when heaven prepares to deliver its blessing. This is the battlefield no one talks about, the battle within. Right before the door swings wide, fear and doubt rise like shadows determined to convince you that you are unworthy, that you are not ready, that you somehow missed your chance. And yet, The truth is this: destiny has never been about perfection. It has always been about timing. Think of the countless stories in history where leaders rose not because they were flawless, but because the appointed hour found them faithful enough to stand. Moses stuttered, yet he carried nations. Lincoln wrestled with depression, yet he rewrote the soul of America. Imperfection has never been a disqualifier for greatness. What matters is the courage to step forward when the call arrives. The trembling you feel is not weakness. It is the sign that the old season is ending, and a new one is pressing against your life with unstoppable force. The battlefield of the heart always precedes the breakthrough of destiny. And in those final moments of hesitation, you must remind yourself, this blessing is not earned, it is entrusted. You were chosen not because you never fell, but because you stood back up. You endured the dry years, the silence, the long waiting. Heaven honors that endurance by opening a door that cannot be shut. And then, almost without warning, the stranger arrives. They will not look like the answer to your prayers at first. They may enter quietly, carrying no sign that the universe has woven them into your story. But watch closely, because they will bring with them something unmistakable, opportunity that feels larger than logic. They will speak words that awaken dreams you buried long ago. They will place in your hands resources and connections that could never have come from your strength alone. This is the moment where faith must step forward. To receive what is being offered, you may have to leave behind the comfort of what is familiar. The stranger is not here to preserve your safety, but to usher you into expansion. Their wealth is not just financial, it is symbolic of abundance in every form. They are the living proof that heaven has not forgotten you, that what you longed for has finally found its appointed hour. There is something sacred about stepping into a season you once thought was lost. It demands courage, yes, but also humility, the humility to accept that blessings do not arrive because we have earned them, but because destiny has decreed it is time. You do not need to apologize for the goodness about to flood your life. You only need to walk forward with open hands. Imagine it like crossing a threshold after years of exile. The first step into the new land feels almost unreal, like the dawn after a night that seemed endless. And yet, this is not a dream. It is the season your soul has been rehearsing for in the silence of all those waiting years. The stranger is only the messenger. The true gift is the alignment of your story with heaven's timing. So let your fear tremble if it must, but do not let it hold you. This is not the hour to retreat into old doubts. This is the hour to step into the inheritance of faith. The stranger has come, the door is open, and the future you thought was delayed is standing right before you. All that is left is for you to walk through. 5. The life beyond waiting, stepping into your appointed destiny. There comes a moment when the story you've been carrying finally makes sense. The waiting years, the closed doors, the detours that seemed cruel at the time, all of them suddenly reveal their hidden purpose. What once felt like punishment begins to shine as protection, and what you thought was delay reveals itself as preparation. This is the mystery of destiny. Heaven often hides its gifts in the wrapping of time, so that when the unveiling arrives, your soul is strong enough to hold it. Every closed door was not a rejection, but a redirection. Think of the countless times you stood before what you thought was the answer, only to find yourself shut out. The heartbreak was real, but so was the preservation. A parent does not allow their child to play with fire, not out of cruelty, but out of love. In the same way, heaven closed doors to shield you from entering rooms that were never meant to define your story. Those delays were not empty, they were sacred pauses, sculpting the patience, wisdom, and discernment you would need in the life that is now unfolding. When the shift comes, it does not arrive quietly. It feels like the ground itself changes beneath your feet. You sense the air thicken with new possibility, as though destiny itself is leaning closer. This is not merely relocation, this is redefinition. A new chapter does not mean you are just moving to a different space, it means you are inhabiting a new identity. You are stepping into a dimension of life where survival no longer dictates your decisions. Instead, calling, alignment, and legacy begin to shape the choices you make. Think of it as a migration of the soul. You are not simply leaving behind the old landscape, you are carrying with you the wisdom of everything you endured there. The long desert prepared you for the garden. The nights of silence prepared you to recognize the voice of destiny when it finally spoke. Even the loneliness was training, shaping in you a resilience that cannot be broken by circumstance. When you walk into this new season, you do not walk in as the same person who once begged for open doors. You walk in as someone forged in fire, ready to inhabit the fullness of what heaven has always planned for you. And make no mistake, this new life is not a coincidence. It is a divine appointment. You may have thought you were forgotten, but you were being refined. You may have felt overlooked, but you were being positioned. History itself shows us that the greatest breakthroughs often arrive after the longest seasons of silence. The Israelites wandered 40 years before entering their promised land. Mandela waited decades in a cell before stepping into leadership that transformed a nation. Delay is not denial, it is destiny's final rehearsal. Now, as you step forward, notice how everything begins to align. The stranger who arrives is not just a person, but a symbol of heaven's timing. The opportunities that fall into place are not luck, but confirmation. Even your own courage, rising inside you like a long dormant flame, is proof that you have crossed the threshold from waiting into becoming. This is the essence of your new life. It is not just about changing where you live or what you do, but about changing how you see yourself. You are no longer the one who waits outside the door, wondering if it will ever open. You are the one who carries the key within, because destiny itself has declared the time has come. So walk boldly, not with apology but with reverence. You have endured the shaping, you have carried the silence, and now you are entrusted with the fulfillment. The new life you are stepping into is not an accident, not a consolation prize, but the very destiny that every tear, every prayer, and every closed door has been preparing you for. This is not just change. This is transformation. This is your appointed season. Cancer, this is the moment the story crests like a wave. Not a gentle landing, not a soft whisper, but the resounding declaration that everything has shifted. This is more than just a move. This is the unfolding of a purpose bigger than the place you have been standing. What once felt like silence was never abandonment. It was preparation for this very hour. Your season of waiting, of feeling trapped between closed doors and unanswered prayers, is over now. The doors are opening before you. Doors that no one can shut, no force can block, no fear can close again. What once seemed delayed is no longer delayed. What once looked impossible now unfolds with divine certainty. Understand this clearly, you are not stepping into an ordinary relocation. You are stepping into the wide horizon of destiny. The air ahead is different. It carries the fragrance of possibility, the sound of new beginnings, the energy of opportunities designed to match the size of your calling. This change is not about geography, it is about identity. It is about moving into alignment with the future written for you long before you ever felt ready. And when you look back, you will see it with new eyes. Every closed door was protection. Every silence was hidden growth. Every delay was a bridge leading you here. Nothing was wasted. Everything was pointing you toward this very unveiling. So, Cancer, let this truth settle deep within you. What is ahead of you is brighter, bigger, and more beautiful than anything you are leaving behind. The old season has completed its work. The new one demands your courage, your faith, your readiness to walk through the door already opening. Type these words in the comments as your declaration. I am ready for divine relocation. Speak it not as a wish, but as a decree, a seal upon your faith. And share this message with someone who needs the same hope, for when heaven moves, it rarely moves for one life alone. This is not accident. This is not luck. This is not ordinary. This is destiny, unfolding in your favor, right here, right now.